I'm going to ask if we'll stand, and I'll have an invocation and a pledge of allegiance. May we bow in an attitude of prayer. Gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning with grateful hearts. Thank you for the night of rest and for the opportunity to be present this morning and to serve and to be of service to the citizens of Washington County. May you direct us and guide us, and may we follow your lead. May we honor you and please you with the things we do and say. Lord, have mercy upon us. Thank you for this beautiful day. Lead, guide, and direct us, I pray in thy name. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a sign-in sheet. Okay, you want to read this again? Okay, if you'll bear with me, I'd like to read the rules of civility and decorum here. We have received constructive comments from several community members who value the First Amendment as well as we do and want to make sure that our rules do not abridge anyone's rights. First, our rules are not meant to restrict viewpoints. All you have to do is watch the past few months' meetings to see that we are extremely tolerant of critical comments and allow them to be expressed. At the same time, preservation of order at public meetings to ensure that the meetings can be efficiently conducted is a legitimate government interest. The Constitution allows the county to establish reasonable rules to that end. Our new rules are reasonable and viewpoint neutral. Because of them, have the single objective of preventing actual disturbances at the meetings. All viewpoints are welcome. All we ask is the speakers maintain a conduct, a volume, and a tone that does not disrupt the meeting. I am quoting here from federal courts that have addressed this issue. It is well established that a citizen addressing a city, a governmental body, in a limited public forum may be stopped from speaking if the speech is irrelevant or repetitious, or disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the council meeting, so long as the speaker is not stopped from speaking because the moderator disagrees with the viewpoint he or she is expressing. We will conduct ourselves accordingly. Regarding profanity, it is settled law that reasonable restrictions on profanity that disrupts the meetings are constitutionally valid restrictions. The question is when such language becomes disruptive. It is my job to make that distinction. We occasionally have children who come to these meetings. In that case, excessive, repetitive profanity that serves no purpose other than shock value will be disruptive to the meeting, as it will require parents to leave the room and impede the children's and their parents' ability to access the meeting. We also have people who watch at home. These people have every right to access these meetings. But if a speaker uses extreme, excessive, and repetitive profanity such that cable television and social media restricts access to their videos, in my opinion, that is disruptive because it impedes the access of those at home. I am going to ask all speakers, regardless of viewpoint, to be sensitive to the rights of others when speaking. If profanity gets out of hand in a way that is excessive and repetitive and disruptive, I will ask you to stop, regardless of the viewpoint being expressed. Finally, I ask all speakers to be mindful to others. If a speaker's conduct, volume, or tone is such that a reasonable person will view it as threatening or aggressive, such that they reasonably fear danger of bodily harm and for that reason want to leave the meeting, I will ask the speaker to cease the conduct, lower the volume, or change the tone of their remarks, regardless of viewpoint, so that they can make their viewpoint known without disrupting or impeding the meeting. The rules are a work in progress, and we are grateful to the community members who have provided their input. Our hope is that speakers will feel comfortable to express their viewpoints while being sensitive to others so that all, and I'll say that again, so that all viewpoints can be heard. Thank you. And with that, I'd like to have the sign-in sheet, please. Thank you. And first up is Roger Stennerson. Sure. Yes, right there in the center. Perfect.
Chairman Barr and Commissioners, I'm Roger Stenerson. I live at 7112 Gillardy Road in Boonesboro. But for about 40 years, I've been a member of St. John's Lutheran Church at 141 South Potomac Street. I will share with you that I doubt if you know a whole lot of folks that purchased their property from Jonathan Hager. We did. I am here to ask you to address the homeless crisis in Washington County and in Hagerstown. And I'm here on behalf of our church because our church is at the locus of many of the activities. This morning when I came to church to repair a downspout, a copper downspout was stolen and presumably recycled. That's why I'm in my work clothes today, for which I apologize, but it doesn't change my message. I encountered one of our regulars in one of the doorways sheltering overnight. He has essentially the equivalent of a sleeping bag in the form of blankets, water bottles, etc. It's not atypical for food debris, paper, plastic, particularly plastic, and even human waste to be discarded on church property. In fact, not only I, but our pastors had to clean that up off of the office steps right in front of the church. There's a litany of issues, including drugs, smoking, and so forth. My asks of you this morning are, first, that you simply acknowledge the problem. I've seen nothing from the commissioners, and I understand this is largely a Hagerstown City problem, but at least you offer the opportunity for public comment, and I don't believe the City Council does that. So thank you for that. And I should say thank you for your service, too. And I am sorry, Mr. Barr, that you have to go through that whole process at the beginning to help people to understand. I'm a former middle school principal, so I understand that. I've spoken similar words to students in another lifetime. But in addition to acknowledging the crisis of the homeless, I would ask that you please appoint a task force or a work group or some kind of group. You don't need to be saddled with identifying the solutions. Give that to folks. United Way would be interested. You talk with law enforcement folks, I'm sure they are eager for solutions, and law enforcement is not the solution. Any action is better than no action.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next up, Michael Gesford.
President Barr, Vice President Klein, Commissioners, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Mike Gesford. I live at 16616 Tammy Lane, Williamsport, Maryland, and today I am also a member, for disclosure, a member of the school board. But today, a citizen, I'd like to stop in and just say thank you for your work, for the budget process. We know that the Begathon season is over, and people who are there always with their hand out. But I think it's also time that we stop and say thank you for what you've done. We thank your staff for all the work that they put into that. I know with our budget, it seems like it's an ongoing battle, and I'm sure you all have the same thing. But you know, in a day and age when we don't have the opportunity to say thank you, I watched the budget hearing, and I did not see anyone from the school board, staff or members, and I just wanted to stop in today and say that I know there's other board members that are very thankful for what the commissioners have done and provided. I know that it's difficult because a lot of this is mandated from the state, and there's nothing that we can do and there's nothing that you can do other than fund the money and try to find it. So in a day and age as we are in, I come before you to say thank you for your service and your staff, meeting with our staff to get that process done. And I'm sure we can sit back and relax a little bit until the next time. So just want to say thank you today for all your work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gessler, thank you. Next up is Curtis Ray.
My name is Curtis Ray. I live in Hagerstown. Let me start off by saying that I tried every avenue to actually contact you, Mr. Barr. I really did. There's been some pretty big accusations against you, especially with being our president of the county commission. You pushed Sean Porter to such an extent that he went and dug, and so much dirt he sifted through, but by God, he found it. There is a document between your son and his ex-wife in the divorce. In this document, which mind you is about 541 pages that we had to sift through, there's some very incriminating things. You have been accused by your own granddaughter of sexual battery. That is pretty severe.
Yep.
Point of order, I'd like to ask a question if this is pertinent to, county business,
Can you stop my
specifically
time
county
if
business?
he's gonna be, yeah, I need like 20 seconds.
It wasn't 20 seconds.
I think under the circumstances, it's difficult for me to, but I would appreciate my fellow commissioners weighing in on this.
I agree. It's not pertinent.
If you want, I can actually give a reasoning behind it. I'm gonna ask for your resignation, and I have to provide some supporting documentation, of course. I think that's very fair.
Mr. Ray, this isn't a court proceeding. If you want the record to reflect that you're asking President Barr for his resignation, perhaps you can do that and then get back to county business as the board has determined.
Well, the county
Please.
business is that I'm asking the county to actually look at this. That's the whole point. I'm bringing up the whole point that this is very severe, that our president has
No,
been
let
accused.
me just say something
Go
here.
ahead.
To our attorney, and my understanding is all of this has been adjudicated. that,
That's correct.
Throwing around past allegations that have been, as everyone who's looked at this knows, has been repudiated in the courts, okay? Found not to be valid, okay? And to purposely stir up things that the individuals know are in fact false, and, to be rehashing those for the express purposes of defamation or to advance an individual's political career, which is what some of the people are doing. It's very clear in the emails and things that we've received. I would suggest that that is not pertinent, and we just need to ask them to move on.
If you would like, I actually got verbatim of the actual documents. I have Exhibit 1 from the
There
actual
are other
divorce
forms for
document.
that.
Again,
It's
Mr. Ray, this
out
is
of
not,
order.
this is not a back and forth with the board. They've determined that what you're trying to speak on is not pertinent to county business. If you
It's
have any
about the
county business.
president. The president is the county.
This is a
Let's move to
public-
recess. I think we need a recess.
They're done.
Everybody, please clear the room. Ask for us to stand for invocation and pledge. I'm going to ask Mr. Porter to please leave. You are not to be here, Mr. Porter, and you clearly know that.
It's illegal. We'll take care of that later then, buddy.
You have us.
Don't molest any 8-year-old girls today. Unlike the 2017 and 2018 years where you apparently, according to court
Mr.
records,
Porter?
molested your granddaughter every day.
And secondly, I'm going to ask Mr. Curtis Ray to please leave. You were served a trespass, no trespass for today's meeting at our earlier session, and I'm going to ask you to leave now. You were served with.
Mr. Porter is still there in the hallway. Mr. Porter is still there.
Mr. Ray, I'm going to remind you one more time, I'm speaking. I'm the president, I'm the presiding officer of this meeting. You were clearly told, you were served with a no trespass of today's meeting. And I'm not going to continue.
I have been coming to these meetings every.
Recess.
Recess.
Please clear the. bow in an attitude of prayer. Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for the night of rest. Thank you for the opportunity to be present this morning. Lord, in light of all the rhetoric and situations of life, may we hold our heads high and obey you and do what you've taught us to do. Lord, may we honor and please you in the things we do and say. And give us the strength, the encouragement, and the fortitude to serve the citizens of Washington County with integrity, with truthfulness, and with civility. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for this day. Guide us, direct us through it. May we love you and serve you, for it's in your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, with that, we'll move right into our, we have no minutes to approve this today? Okay, yes, okay, I'm sorry, I wasn't looking down far enough. Yep, we have two sets of minutes to approve, May 8th and May 13th, and we'd like a motion for each one independently.
Motion to approve May 8th minutes.
Randy, you weren't at the May 8th. That was our special meeting,
Oh, yep.
and you were not here, so.
Okay.
Motion to approve May 8th then.
Okay,
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second for May 8th. As presented, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. May 13th.
Motion to approve May 13th.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Move into commissioners' reports and comments. Randy Leatherman, you want to go first?
Thank you. I would like to draw attention to county citizens, excuse me, our farmers, our largest commodity in the county, making their first harvest now, so they're present on our roads quite frequently. So I'm asking for you to be patient with them as they're moving equipment around our county roads, and be thoughtful of the impact that they have on our local economy. The second item I'd like to talk to about this morning, excuse me, our senior high school, our high schools rather, seniors graduated recently, and all across the county we got to witness the joy of families who have supported their children and the result of a graduation which was warmly received. I was able to attend Hancock Middle Senior High School's graduation on Tuesday, May 27th. 39 students in Hancock graduated. Incredible show of support by the community. It was just obvious what a close community Hancock happens to be, and it was a pleasure to attend and to simply watch the participation of the families and the joy that it brought, that graduation. And finally, we had I was able to attend multiple Memorial Day functions, and one that comes to mind especially was Sharpsburg held its 158th commemoration, and just significant. It was well done, nicely presented. It was a fabulous day, and remembering our Gold Star families especially locally, Max Swain's family, Patrick Roy, and Craig Wibberley, all of their families in attendance in various ways. So a shout out of thank you and congratulations to Sharpsburg for a job well done, nicely done. That's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Randy.
Morning. I want to also echo Randy Leatherman's statements on congratulations to all the seniors that graduated, and hopefully, you know, they're very successful as they travel to college, the workforce, the trades, or whatever they might have chosen in life. I want to thank everybody who participated in the Memorial Day services to remember our fallen heroes and the dedication to that. And I was able to attend Marty Snook's Memorial Day service at Marty Snook Park. And thank you to Jim Pinekline and his staff and crew who are dedicated to doing that every year, along with the Veterans Day ceremony there every year. And I did attend a grand opening of the Maryland Wine House. It's off of Oliver Drive, Mulgans Avenue and Oliver Drive. It's quite an establishment. Never been in anything quite that big. It sells spirits, but that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Harvey?
Yeah, thank you, President Barr. First of all, congratulations to all the high school graduating seniors and job well done. And a thank you to the school board, the school staff, superintendent's office, all the teachers and everyone that volunteered to help make that journey of those high school graduates a success. And wish them well in their new ventures, whether they're going on to college or into the trades or work or into the military. I'd also like to mention a big thanks to everyone who made the Memorial Day weekend a success. The parades in Boonesboro and Sharpsburg were well attended and again very successful, and that takes a lot of work from a lot of people to make that happen. In addition to everyone who volunteered to put in vehicles and march in the parades and the bands and everything else. And then also all the individual events, whether it's at Funkstown or downtown at the courthouse, Smithsburg, Marty Snook Park. It's very somber when you hear the reading of the names. In Smithsburg, there was a long list of World War I people. It's amazing how many people died from that community in World War I. It's just really impactful. And thank you to everyone who served also, but this Memorial Day weekend is about recognizing, respecting, and having gratitude for those who did fall and, remembering the families. I'd just note that the days between Mother's Day and Father's Day are generally recognized as Natural Family Month, and that's to celebrate the importance of family and marriage and the important role that has in reinforcing strong society and strong community. It makes a big impact on improving outcomes for people, young families. So that's an important thing. And then I guess we're going to recognize later on today, Randy mentioned farming community, but it's National Dairy Month. And, I'm between a few dairy farms on my place, and, they work 7 days a week, and some of them are milking continuously now with the robotics that are involved, but, some are milking twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day, and it's a 7-day-a-week long journey every day from early to late, working the fields and taking care of the cows and doing everything they do to take care of their equipment in between. So thank you to our farming community, which is such an important element. I think it's still, number one in our community. So thank you all to the farmers.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Klein?
Well, speaking of the farming community, today's the kickoff for the ice cream trail. I believe it's already started, and several of us did some trial runs over the weekend. So on a serious note, these are local businesses that contribute to our economy and also provide jobs for our youth and other people. So I would encourage everyone to participate in the ice cream trail. And there'll be more on our Facebook page about how to get a form and everything to do that. But make it a fun time and travel across Washington County and see the number of small businesses and people enjoying ice cream. And ice cream makes the day go better, I once was told. I too attended several of the Memorial Days events on traditional May 30th, and that was at Marty Snook, Funkstown, and Smithsburg. So thank you for all those who organized those events. I also attended the Sharpsburg and Boonesboro Parade, especially the opening ceremonies, which were very poignant and reverent and revert about our how serious this was for this day, for those who gave the full measure in battle that did not arrive home. Commissioner Leatherman mentioned several names of some local people, and I'm going to acknowledge one from Williamsport. At the Vietnam veteran here in Hagerstown, Monument Hagerstown, there's a list of names, but I always want to bring the name of John Franklin Hutzel, a Williamsport graduate, and was killed in Vietnam, April 30th, 1968. He was a well-liked young man. Everybody talked highly of him. He was an athlete, and I don't want his memory to be forgotten because most of his immediate family have either passed or gone from this area. And it's a tribute to Memorial Day and to him that I mention his name today, John Franklin Hutzel, U.S. Army, to be entered into our record. I also attended the Washington County Family Center graduation. Department of Social Services helped sponsor that, and kudos to the school board. They had to make special arrangements for that day for rain, and some of the graduates of the Family Center weren't able to attend. They went to their high school, but it's a great program giving young mothers a chance to get their high school degree and learn the skills to move on with life. So thank you to the Family Center and those folks that run that operation. I did get a chance to make the Boonesboro Carnival 3 times before the rain delay. It always rains during that carnival for them, but thank you for the Boonesboro EMS and all the volunteers that they amassed to put that event together so they can fund their first responding opportunities and obligations down there. So thank you to all of them. I did attend the Maryland Wine House opening. I believe I heard $2 million in inventory that he has in that facility to provide for the community. But again, thank you to Mr. Ryder for providing another small business in Washington County. And I also attended the CVB's annual membership meeting, and tourism is still strong in Washington County. We don't have to build roads or schools for them. We get a lot of tax money from the hotel motel tax, but they do a great job highlighting why Washington County is a great place to come visit, live, work, and play. And that concludes my report. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Klein. Good morning, everyone. I certainly don't want to be redundant, but yes, the past 2 weeks have been very busy, and particularly with the Memorial Day weekend, a lot of somber remembrances and paying respect, particularly to those that paid the ultimate sacrifice. Our hearts go out to their families and to their loved ones that have a really special meaning and a remembrance in their heart, particularly over Memorial Day. One thing I do want to mention, this Friday is the last day of school, half day of school, and I see some of our school board, or not school board, but school staff here with us this morning. Just a message to the community that Friday at noon, the students will be out and they'll be all excited, and for the next 2.5 months, they'll be probably, I don't want to call them kids, but students will be running everywhere, and so be mindful that bicycles and scooters, and there'll be a lot more activity on the streets and roadways, and so please keep their safety in mind. Another thing that Commissioner Klein and I talked about this morning, Mr. John Seaburn, we want to just mention, pay respect. His father passed away, I think, last weekend, and John Seaburn, I guess, is the co-founder of the Aviation Museum out at the airport. Him and his father, I know, knew personally, dedicated much of their life, any moment they had spare time, and I don't even know how he made a living, because if you wanted John Seaburn, he was deeply in with the Aviation Museum. He spent every waking moment there, and thanks to him, we have that facility here. So remember the Seaburn family in your thoughts and prayers. Also, as I've mentioned over and over and over, it's dear to my heart. The final concert of the series was at the Maryland Theater Saturday night, our Maryland Symphony Orchestra, and I cannot stress enough that every seat in that 1,200 seat Maryland Theater should be packed for the symphony. This community, I plead with this community to support them unconditionally and wholeheartedly. They're getting ready to start their 41st season, the 26th season under the direction of Maestro Elizabeth Schultz. And again, I'll just, passion from my heart, I guess, is that we're not the state capital. We're certainly not the largest municipality. And how we got blessed to be home to the Maryland Symphony Orchestra, I probably don't know all the details, but I certainly wouldn't want them to be looking around or lured away from Hagerstown in Washington County. So heading into their 41st season, buy tickets to the concert, become a season patron, whatever. They are crucial to the arts and culture and the foundation in our community. With that, the only other thing I wanted to mention is the tonight at 6 p.m. is the comprehensive plan hearing to the public, and that will be held down at the Public Safety Training Center on Sharpsburg Pike. So have I missed anything?
I just wanted to, I did miss something when you spoke of John Seaburn. My condolences to John and his family, but also they had a pretty good function there this weekend at the Hagerstown Aviation Museum. They had the B-29 Flying Fortress there. We're giving rides. Of course, it was pricey, but can you say you rode on a World War II heavy-duty bomber? But they had a big turnout, and they just do amazing things out there. And there's a rumor they might be getting an A-10 Warthog, which will be another big draw for the museum. And if you haven't been there, it's worth your efforts. I think they're open just about every weekend to go out there and see the museum and see all the planes they have on display.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, we'll move into staff comments, and Chip Rose, you're up first.
Good morning, Commissioners. Chip Rose, Director of Human Resources. I have one relatively easy item for you this morning. Staff is seeking approval to advertise and pre-hire a replacement for position number 930. This is the Assistant Superintendent of Maintenance for Water Quality. The incumbent is set to retire on August the 1st of 2025. We're seeking approval to pre-hire and overlap this replacement so that there's time to cross-train.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, ready to vote. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, 5-0. Thank you.
And I just want to add that that will be cost neutral, as they will be able to fund that with vacancy savings within their budget.
Thank you. Thank you, Chip. Next is Zach Kiefer.
Thank you, President Barr. Two related matters for the board's consideration this morning. The first is I request that a motion be made to approve Mr. David Yeoman as the Commissioner's at-large appointment to the Salary Study Commission.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the appointment approval. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, 5-0.
Thank you. And the second item I have is a request for a motion to appoint and constitute the Salary Study Commission as a whole. These appointments are mandatory. The board does not have discretion over these nominees. They come from various organizations within the community. My recommendation would be to make one motion to approve the slate of Salary Study Commissioners. The term of the appointment is the completion and submission of the commission's recommendation to the county commissioners. So I can go ahead and read off all the names and get a motion at the end, or if it's the chair's pleasure, I can go through one at a time.
Do them all at once.
Okay.
Let's do them all.
The names of the commissioners and the organizations they represent are as follows: Angela Batista from the Washington County Democratic Central Committee, Nancy Allen from the Washington County Republican Central Committee, Paul Fry from the Washington County Chamber of Commerce, Brian Forsyth from the Washington County Farm Bureau, Richard Wilson from the Washington County League of Women Voters, John Feely from Central Maryland AFL-CIO, Kevin Poole from the Joint Veterans Council of Washington County, and finally, your at-large member, Mr. David Yeoman.
You have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second? Give me a motion and second for approval as listed. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, 5-0.
Thank you, President Barr. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Kiefer. Michelle Gordon, County Administrator.
Thank you. I did attend parts of the Maryland Farm Tour as Maryland Secretary Addix was here in Washington County. I'd like to thank Creekbound Farms, Misty Meadows Farms, and Ernst Grain and Livestock for opening their doors and providing tours as well as helpful information to us. I'd like to recognize Kelsey Cadle for the work she did to coordinate this event and for the job well done. Next week, on June the 10th, we do have an evening meeting here at 6 p.m. It is a joint session with the town of Boonesboro. And just to piggyback on your comments regarding the comp plan hearing tonight, the address is 18350 Public Safety Place, Hagerstown, Maryland. It is off the Sharpsburg Pike on Maryland 65. I have a couple other things that I wanted to point out for our residents. When residents do file complaints with the Open Meetings Board, we do get the results of those, whether we're found in compliance or not in compliance, and I have the results of several of those that were recently lodged. All of these complaints are available on the marylandattorneygeneral.gov website, so the public is welcome to pull them up in their entirety. The first one I'd like to go over is from December the 31st of 2024. The complainant alleged that he was illegally thrown out of a meeting of the Washington County Board of County Commissioners in violation of the Open Meetings Act. The Open Meetings Compliance Board found that there were no violations. The complainant alleged that the county board violated the act by stopping him from talking with the use of a gavel and having him escorted from the meeting, which humiliated him on a live broadcast and prevented him from watching his fellow citizens' comments and the rest of the meeting. The Open Meetings Compliance Board found no violation of the act. A public body's handling of public comments is simply not within the act's ambit. As for the complainant's removal from the meeting, the act states, if the pending presiding officer determines that the behavior of an individual is disrupting an open session, the public body may have the individual removed. That provision would authorize the presiding officer to ask someone to move if they were recording the meeting in a disruptive manner also. The provision strikes a balance between the public's right to observe public business and the public body's right to conduct that business in a manner free of disruption by members of the public. A public body has unquestioned power to prohibit any disturbance at its meetings. Here, the county board asserts that it properly removed the complainant from the meetings under section 3-303C because he exceeded his allotted time for the public comment, used language that became more vulgar, and a tone that became louder and more disruptive. Based on the facts before them, they concluded that the presiding officer they cannot conclude that the presiding officer erred in determining that the complainant was disrupting an open session. We thus conclude that the county board was entitled to have the complainant removed from the meeting under section 3-303C. They found no violation of the act. Additionally, they noted that the meeting was live streamed. Therefore, the complainant's physical removal from the meeting did not prohibit him from viewing the rest of the meeting if he had access to the internet. They have previously said that the public body does not violate the act when it removes a large group of people from a meeting room, even when the body does not first determine that each of those individuals are causing a disruption. If the body offers meaningful alternative opportunities for the removed individuals to observe the meeting. The body also provided a meaningful alternative opportunity for the complainant to observe the meeting, which bolsters the view that the county board did not violate the act. Second opinion I'd like to point out was received on May the 15th, 2025 from the Open Meetings Compliance Board. The complainant alleges that Washington County Board of County Commissioners violated the Open Meetings Act by participating in the annual State of the County events for which attendees are charged an admission fee. The county board responds that these are not proceedings of the board subject to the act, but rather a private event hosted by a private entity. For these reasons, we conclude that one of the events was not a meeting of the county board and thus was not subject to the act. The third finding that I'd like to read was received on May the 19th of 2025. Until recently, the Washington County Board of County Commissioners included public comment period in each of its regular sessions, which generally started at 9 a.m. In March of 2025, the board changed its practice. On meeting days, the body now convenes for a public comment period at 8 a.m., takes a recess at 8:30, and reconvenes at 9 a.m. to address the rest of its agenda. The complainant alleged that this change violated the Open Meetings Act because and because the public body's handling of public comments is simply not within the Act's ambit, we find no violation. To be sure, if a public body allows public comment, the public has a right to observe that public comment period. The Act does not require the board to live stream its meetings, and inviting the public to observe public comments in person generally satisfies the Act's mandate that meetings be open to the public. The complainant also alleges that the earlier start time for the public comments combined with a 30-minute recess between public comments and other business discourages public attendance at meetings. They acknowledge that the Supreme Court of Maryland said that any action taken by a public body which discourages public attendance at a meeting to any substantial degree would likely violate the Act's provisions. But, as we have previously explained, the court here was talking about actions like locking the doors at the meeting site after giving notice of a meeting. We cannot conclude that moving a public comment period from around 9:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. is analogous to locking out the public of a meeting. We find no violation of the Act. So long as the meeting meeting minutes included all of the required details, each item of the public body considered, also in addition to live streaming, satisfies any requirement for the public body being able to, or the public being able to watch any of the meetings. The Board of County Commissioners was free to prepare written minutes in lieu of providing live and archived video streaming. However, the body does not need to provide minutes if live and archived video and streaming are also available to the public. So there's that caveat as well. That's everything that I have. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. With that, we'll move right along with our agenda here this morning, and it's my distinct honor to ask my good friend Bruce Beriano to come forward for the post-legislative review session. And before Bruce sits down and I offer him the microphone, I just want to say, please stand, continue standing, because buddy, you are the hardest working, without a doubt, lobbyist in Annapolis, and we appreciate, I know not only Washington County, but Mako and others around the state appreciate your energy and your knowledge of who's who and what's what in Annapolis.
Been 53 sessions.
Wow.
Nine gubernatorial administrations, and I'm healthy. Full of a lot of energy, and I love life, and I'm extremely honored, I mean it, to represent Washington.
Again, thank you.
Those kind of comments. Wish my mother could hear them. Good morning, Mr. President, members of the County Commissioners. I'm here to be available for any questions that you have at the conclusion now of the legislative session. As I said a moment ago, to thank you very, very much for allowing me the honor and the privilege of representing as your lobbyist Washington County. During the past 90-day session, I worked very closely with your senators and your delegates. I attended all of the Washington County delegation meetings in Annapolis. I attended them in person. I worked very closely with Mako, with Kevin Canale, and followed the session very, very closely. Hopefully each of you received a final document of all the legislation I was tracking for Washington County. Some of it maybe was broader than was of interest to you, but I'd rather be broader than narrow, and so that you have that, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. I also sent each of you, hopefully you received it, the capital monies that Washington County received during the legislative session. Under all the circumstances, I think the county did extremely well with monies that they received. I know Senator Quarterman, who's on your Budget and Taxation Committee, sent out a document where, I-81 is moving along and got some very significant money. Washington County Convention and Visitors Bureau, Meredith Commons, Boys and Girls Club, and a number of other organizations, so that in the context of a very difficult session, I was very pleased to see that Washington County did receive, both in the capital budget and the budget, some good amounts of money. Before I forget, it's not definite, but in talking to legislators subsequent to the session, I personally would not be surprised to see a special session sometime this October. It will be after another set of revenue estimates, and it will also be after, and I'm not trying to get into the politics of it, but it'll be after the federal budget the new budget season will be starting October 1, which, and presumably that will be concluded and will be known by not only Washington County, but all the other counties. And I personally think there will be, because I think that things are not going to get better, unfortunately. And I think, I'd say this very respectfully, I'm not trying to be critical, but I just don't think some of the revenues that were estimated to balance the budget are going to be ultimately realized, and I think there are going to be some continued. So just keep that in your mind respectfully, that might occur. Not that how many days it would take place or what have you, don't know, but it would not surprise me at all. I am going to leave with you, Mr. President, members, the 90-day report document, so that you and the council staff have that of the activities of the session. I found disturbingly this past legislative session that there were a great number of bills that really imposed on and interfered with the governance of local government. I mean that very sincerely. I've been there 53 years as a staffer, as a lobbyist, and I've just never seen such a large number of significant bills in a variety of areas, just telling counties and municipalities what to do and kind of ordering them around. Most of them did not pass, but I found it very disturbing. I was glad to see that MACO was extremely active this session. They really upped it, and I think that's very important. Maybe because you have a rural president of MACO, right now, Jack Wilson. But it's a trend that disturbs me. And I mean, for example, one of the bills that was passed will require the counties to now pay 90% of the state budget funds for the tax assessment office, which is a state agency. The director is appointed by the governor. The board is appointed by the governor. But now the counties are going to have to pay 90% of that expense. It's been very disturbing to me, just from a governmental standpoint, as I've seen it. A couple of points I did want to make, bring to your attention, and I'm sure you know of it, but I want to bring it to your attention, and that is one of the bills that passed changes the deadline for counties to finalize from July 1st to now June 20th to finalize their tax assessment, so that it then can move along more quickly. I know, as you know, a bill was passed giving the Washington County Board of License Commissioners membership, a change in the membership in terms of from a bipartisan standpoint. And your staff was wonderful during the session. I got a lot of communications and positions. I testified quite a number of times. I was very happy to do so. And be very happy to answer any questions you have. I will be at both MML and MACO. I'll make myself available to you, particularly at MACO. If you want me to attend the transportation meeting, I'll be happy to do so, just to stay informed and to keep involved. But please, each of you individually and collectively, do not hesitate throughout the rest of the year. If you have any questions or you want any material or any information, I work for you guys and ladies. So be happy to answer any questions you may have. And again, I thank you very much for the opportunity to represent the county.
Questions?
Since you were watching. I'm sorry. Since you were so close to the funding issue of 81, what demeanor did you detect in future funding?
Well, I think the fact, I want to get the number correct, please. I think it's promising, to answer your question. I think the fact that $63 million has been allocated for moving the project forward. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen that level of funding for I-81 in quite a while. And that's serious, and I think it's a very promising thing. I know your delegation worked very hard on that. I know it was a real priority of Senator Quarterman's being on budget and taxation, and he really works very well with his colleagues in that regard. So I think that's really good. I really think it is good, and that's a high number.
Thank you.
And but I think we should stay on it. I mean, and I'm sure everyone will, the delegates and your senators, in terms of moving it along promptly and not letting it be cut by the administration, for budget reasons and what kind of stuff. So I'll keep an eye on it, and I'm sure everyone else will too.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I go next. Welcome, sir. Good to see you. Thank you for being a good representative of Washington County and working with our delegation. At one time, I think we had $100 million for I-81, but this last round of $63 million is only for one more phase. We probably have two more phases, so I'd like to see, my ultimate goal is see 81 completely funded and have that nightmare of a road completed, because it is killer highway. And Interstate 70 is almost the same problem with the traffic mess that we have on there. So it would be my interest that we try to keep the pressure on and get that funding for those major interstates that go through our community. When there's an accident on 81 and 70, not only does it tie up our local communities with the people on all the GPS apps and trying to find a way around, it also is a heavy burden that costs our first responders who have to go out and respond to those accidents, from the manpower, the use of the vehicles, just the absorbent material, the price and the cost adds up. And being on the interstate is also a danger to them while they're there performing those life-saving tactics. The next thing I'd like to bring up is one of the things we're really proud of in this county is the Public Safety Training Center. I think I've spoken to you about it. Again, it's very, any given day, it could be 100 cars down there with people from all over the region training there and getting the certifications. I think next on our list is to have a burn building come in to go out for bid. But one of the things I'm really pushing on is we're doing very well with the educational part inside the building, getting certifications. But another part for our first responders, that's fire, police, EMS, all the first responders, is to get the operational training that'll occur outside in the open area, from the burn building to the defensive driving course to the tactical village. And as we grow that facility, it's not just for our firefighters, I say this all the time, and first responders to learn and save property and save your life. It's also the training they need to return home alive to serve the public again. I play that emotional card there because it's true. I've been fortunate enough to meet many of the recruits in many of these training programs down there. We have a lot of fine young people in Washington County wanting to dedicate their lives to public service and being first responders. So it'd be always on the top of my mind and to alert or make everybody aware that if any funding for that from the state to continue and improve those facilities at the training center would be very important, not just for Washington County, but it's becoming a regional training center, well-known, and that would be one of the things I'd ask you to keep an eye open for any
I
opportunity.
spoke with the Washington County reception in Annapolis, which is always very, very successful. It's really, I think it's the best I've seen of really all the counties. I mean that. I did speak to some of the folks there for the first time. They brought it to my attention, and personally, I'd like to get more involved in that and help in that regard. Maybe we could have some conversations and see if there are some executive branch officials to bring up during the interim or you know, expose them more to what the plan is and designed to get ready for the next legislative session.
On possibly the worst day of your life, it's that first responder you're looking up to for that help. And one other item, you mentioned the tax assessment office that we're getting a cost sharing up to 90%. I may not be accurate with my following comments, but I can be corrected later. It doesn't seem fair that we're paying 90% of costs for that state agency, and we have very little input on the way tax assessments are placed upon our citizens. And I constantly hear that, but it went up, I didn't do anything. My neighbor's house sold for $1 million, but I've done nothing, can't afford it. But having that significant cost share shift us at 90%, and we have no say in what the assessment should be, seems somewhat alarming to me.
And I'm not just saying this to be blunt, I think it's outrageous. I've never in the 53 years I've been in Annapolis seen a state agency, it is a state agency and a state function created a number of years ago because, you know, Montgomery County was assessing everybody every year, you know, so they created the state agency. And now the counties are going to be paying 90% of it. I mean, it's a terrible precedent, just generally. And as I said earlier, I don't mean to repeat myself, I was very disturbed by just the lack of, I really mean this, I'm not just, I care about government, I care about state government, and I couldn't believe, I read every single bill, all the bills of the state legislature telling county and municipalities how to run their, the counties and municipalities are really the skeleton, the fabric of the state.
And I have one more comment. As I skipped over my notes, I have one more. Highway user revenues. The money from the gas tax that doesn't come back here to like it was many years ago. That money that we do not receive takes away from other things we need. First responders, fire, police, buying heavy equipment for the landfill or our roads department, salaries, everything. If that ever could be restored to higher levels, it is very important to local governments that we have that type of revenue source to provide the quality services that our citizens so deserve.
I just, and I'm sorry I'm repeating myself, Mr. President, I'll be very brief. I know you have other things on the agenda. As I said, I really was very disturbed institutionally. I just think that maybe MML and MACO together or separately should really sit down with the presiding officers and really talk theoretically about this trend that I personally am seeing. It's not good. And even you have some members of the legislature that came out of county government, and they kind of forget that. They really do. And it was very disturbing to me. And I just think personally that it's worth some serious conversation among senior members of MACO and MML together so that because a number of the bills dealt with both levels of government, and the presiding officers to really get a better sense on things. But I just don't like the trend that's I see developing. But it's up to you all. But it's just my humble recommendation.
I'd just like to thank you, Bruce, for your good work that you did this year. This was an especially challenging legislative year for Washington County, and I traveled there several times myself, along with Zach. You were there with us testifying for and against several Washington County bills, and I want to thank you for that.
I appreciate it very, very much. Lastly, one bill which I don't know, which passed, I don't know why it wasn't in there, is Washington County now is in the list of counties for agritourism. It was not in there. I brought it to the attention of the delegation, got it in by amendment, it passed, the governor signed it. So as you develop and you do your issues, and I'm not trying to get into them with agritourism, the county really has a full ability and flexibility.
Again, thank you, and you probably saw me smile. I know,
You're all very kind.
being in Annapolis, serving 18 years with Mako, and on Thursday mornings at our planning meeting, every Thursday, I'd be crying on the administrator's arm about how frustrating and problematic it seems like this year is the worst ever, that many times Mako would weigh in on bills and insist on amendments to make corrections or adjustments or whatever. But this year, there were so many that it was like, kill that bill, and I mean kill it. It was beyond my, I'd never seen anything like that
I'm going
before.
to talk to President Wilson. I represent Queen
Please,
Anne's. I'm
yes.
going to talk to him. You as former president, I think would, I think something needs to be done. I know next year is just an election year. Say, well, we got a new legislature coming in, but I don't like what I see. It disturbs me. It really does.
Well, with your 53 years of experience,
And I'll help in every way.
It should be,
I'll help in every way.
it should be heavily
I
weighted.
did not autograph this because it's Mako's, not mine, but I'm going to leave this with you, okay?
Again,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Have a good day, Good
We
summer.
just want
and,
to come, go ahead and attend that transportation meeting.
Yeah, yes, yep, go ahead.
Mr. Mariano, with agreement with the commissioners, go ahead and attend that transportation meeting on our behalf, the meeting you mentioned.
At the Summer Mako, yep, I'll be there, yep.
Be there, please.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Drive safe. Next up, under tab 2, is FY25 budget adjustments to the Washington County Board of Education's general fund budget. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning, Commissioners. Jeff Peru, Chief Operating Officer for Washington County Public Schools.
Eric Sisler, Executive Director of Finance for Washington County Public Schools.
And the matter before you, of course, is our occasional budget adjustments. As you know, the Annotated Code of Maryland requires local school systems to periodically reforecast revenues and expenses and make necessary changes to their budget. The matter before you was presented to the Board's Finance Committee for consensus on May 14th, and then approved by the full Board of Education at their business meeting on May 20th, and we seek your approval of those adjustments. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Questions, comments, concerns?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval as submitted. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, 4-0.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Derek, thank you. I knew you knew that.
Next up, under tab 3, is amendments to the Adequate Public Facilities Ordinance, APFO, and the Building Excise Tax Ordinance, BETO, continued from May 6. Good morning, Jill.
Morning, Commissioners. Jill Baker, Director of the Department of Planning and Zoning. Excuse me, I have a frog. So, as mentioned, this agenda item is a continuation of discussion related to a proposed change to both the Adequate Public Facilities Ordinance and the Building Excise Tax Ordinance. After comments received at the May 6, 2025 public hearing, the Board of County Commissioners decided to leave the comment period open for an additional 2 weeks, with comments closing on May 20th, 2025. 2 additional sources of comments have been received and were included within the agenda packet. Just to quickly refresh everybody's memory, on the issue, we have put together a brief PowerPoint presentation that includes some examples of potential impacts for residential development should this get adopted. So slides 1 and 2 basically are some summaries of the changes that are happening. First slide is summary of changes to the Adequate Public Facilities Ordinance. As stated, we are requesting to remove the alternate mitigation contribution option and replace it with a limit on the number of new residential building permits for major subdivisions. We are still requiring the individualized mitigation plans for any projects, that contribute to school capacity exceeding 120% state-rated capacity. We are, however, proposing language to be added that will provide guidance to the developers on potential options for mitigation. To that point, Commissioner Wagner had inquired about what forms of mitigation that could be used at the last meeting. In researching some of the other counties across the state that have adequate public facilities ordinances, there are a few different options that were used as mitigation. One is additional monetary contributions beyond those that are adopted by law through either the APFO or the BEDO. Dedication of land for the purpose of either school expansion or new school construction. Working with the local Board of Education to redistrict students. Financial contributions that will directly add to the capacity of the school district being impacted so that the mitigation will be impactful within 5 years of the agreement. Or there's sometimes a mixture of those different opportunities. And lastly, there is a proposed change to the definition of capacity for elementary schools to change that from 90% of state-rated capacity to 100%. On the next slide, changes to the building excise tax ordinance include increasing the tax for new residential construction from $1 per square foot to $2 per square foot. Additions will increase from 50 cents per square foot to $1 per square foot. Residential development that occurs in the Hancock or Cascade Elementary School districts will be exempt from the excise tax for a period of 10 years. And there was a slight increase in the percent of funds used to support road infrastructure from 23% to 25% by removing the special set-aside of 2% for libraries. The libraries will not be excluded, they'll just be included within the 5% for general capital provisions. So going to slide 3, we tried to outline for you what the changes would be in terms of what the current regulations are to the proposed changes. So currently, what you can see there are projects that are located inside of incorporated municipalities. It does not seem at this point that APFO regulations are being used to mitigate anything, so there's really no financial impact that we have seen historically. They are subject, though, to the excise tax, which is currently $1 per square foot. Projects that are located outside of municipalities, they include anything that's under county jurisdiction. And what we did here to try to provide you sort of an apples-to-apples comparison to the excise tax, we used some examples of the 3 different categories we use in our APFO, single-family, townhouse, multifamily, and broke that down to a per square foot basis. We used it for an average of a 2,000 square foot single-family home, an 1,800 square foot unit townhouse, and a 1,400 square foot 3-bedroom apartment unit. So those would be the costs currently if a project that was outside of a municipality, a residential project, came through. So you can see that in addition to the $1 per square foot of excise tax, there's an additional between $1.22 and $1.67 on average, that varies, that people would pay outside of the incorporated municipality. These proposed changes will not change the APFO issue within municipalities. So if you're looking inside of an incorporated municipality, the APFO issue stays the same. The APFO is theirs and there's a loan, they use it at their discretion. The proposal would be to increase the excise tax to $2 per square foot. Again, right now it's $1. So then the changes that are being proposed to the ordinance would affect mostly those projects outside of the incorporated municipality. So if you do away with the removal of the alternate mitigation contribution, and add that $2 per square foot to the excise tax, it gives it a little bit of an equilibrium to sort of average out the additional costs that are currently happening outside. So if you do choose to remove the alternate mitigation contribution, we still need to figure out what to do with those projects that are in school districts that exceed school capacities. So the proposal is that if you are between 101% and 119% of the state rated capacity, there would be an annual limit of 25 residential building permits for new units in each development per calendar year. There are caveats that are included within the language that would also allow the commissioners to let developers exceed that number if there is an emergent need for projects, for housing, which obviously that's happening now. But it does put the threshold on there so that we can reasonably manage the development coming in. Keep in mind right now, when the alternate mitigation contribution is paid, those projects move forward in an unlimited capacity. They can draw as many building permits as they want, and it's not giving us enough time to build up the funds to be able to pay for the infrastructure that they're impacting. Just as it is today, if the capacity of a school that serves a project exceeds 120% of the state rated capacity, they'd be required to enter into an individualized mitigation plan with the Board of County Commissioners. All right, so the next slide, I tried to break down a little bit to help explain how this would actually impact. So the next slide says example 1, lots of record. So this example talks about new construction on an existing lot of record. What that means is the lot was created many a year ago and it's just now being developed upon, and it predates the APFO alternate mitigation contribution. So on an existing lot of record, the APFO mitigation would be 0 today. That would continue to be 0 if these changes were approved. The change would come with the excise tax. It would increase from $1 per square foot to $2 per square foot. To simplify the process, we just use a 2,000 square foot single-family home to show you what those financial changes would mean to homeowners. Obviously, this does vary depending on the size of the home. So it increases as the square footage of the home increases. So using that 2,000 square foot home as the example, you can see it would be a 100% increase of the current rate of $2,000 up to $4,000. The second example that I have for you, we're going to talk about creation now of inside and outside of municipalities. So the second example that I have is if somebody wants to create a new lot of record and construct a new residential unit that is outside of an incorporated municipality. So currently, as we've stated, the APFO mitigation with the alternate mitigation contribution would be $3,345 per unit. We're proposing to take that away and increase the excise tax. So by doing that, should that be adopted, it would actually reduce the APFO by 100%, increase the excise tax by 150%, which would result in a total decrease of $1,345, or about 25% for a single-family dwelling. Again, remember when I tried to break down the difference to compare apples to apples between excise tax and the APFO AMC, that's the difference that you're seeing. And then the third example that I provided would be the creation of a lot of record and construction of new residential inside of an incorporated municipality. Again, as we've said, the APFO is theirs and theirs alone. We have not historically seen any monetary contributions for that. And that will continue. We have no control over that. What we are proposing with the excise tax, which does apply to all properties in Washington County, including inside municipalities, would be to increase that dollar per square foot. So it would go from $2,000 to $4,000, or a combined increase of 100% for a single-family home. Sorry, I promise, I'm trying to go quickly. The next chart is a comparison to sort of put it in a very brief format. Again, saying that the existing lot of record would increase, outside municipalities would decrease, inside municipalities would increase. So the next thing is we tried to compare that to the impact on housing costs. That's always what it boils down to, is what is this going to cost the property owners? So what we did is we looked up several different new construction developments and what they are advertising for in terms of new single-family residential. We tried to stick around the 2,000 square foot mark, and I gave a couple different examples because that price does vary depending upon acreage too. So for the most part, inside the growth area, what you're going to see are 2,000 square foot homes averaging somewhere in the vicinity of $450,000. If you take the average mortgage rate of 6.88, which I think is kind of current, assuming 3% down for 30 years, that mortgage payment would be $3,425. I did another one there as an example that if the acreage increased, obviously the mortgage would increase. On the next slide, I tried to break that down for you then in terms of how that would affect the actual monthly cost should these changes go into effect. So as we stated, the current monthly cost for the $450,000 home, the mortgage would be $3,425. If we increased the payments, the excise tax, that would add an additional $2,000 to the housing costs if you were either an existing lot of record or if you were inside of the municipality. So that would increase your monthly payment to $3,440. In the example 2, where we are outside of the municipality, we're actually decreasing the cost. So you can see about a $15-ish difference between these changes. If you take that $15 change in a monthly payment, that equals about $5,400 over the life of the loan. So we tried to break down for you and show you how it would impact the actual monthly payment for the average citizen for these average houses. Again, keep in mind, the larger the house, the larger the acreage, the more the numbers increase. So with all of this going on, this will impact our permit tracking system. Right now, all of that information is automated so that we can efficiently process building permits that come through the office. The more we try to individualize these things, the more complex it becomes and the less we can automate, and therefore adds time to the permit review. So we've tried to minimize that, but it will impact it to some degree. So we are asking that should this be passed, that we would be getting a January 1st, 2026 effective date. That gives us time to change the permit tracking system so that we can automate some of this. It would also ensure that projects that are currently in the pipeline can continue without worrying about, oh, well, this is going to change on me on a dime. This gives them time to prepare for what the changes would be and when they would occur. Thank you for indulging me in that very long conversation. I am happy to answer any.
So just for clarification, I think you just clarified it. Someone has a site plan submitted. This happens not until January.
That would be our request, is that the effective date be January 1st.
Would that, okay, so someone was in process now and they weren't quite, didn't have, some things going on, or they could be done.
Yes,
Okay, that clarified that first question. So there's basically sort of a grandfather effect here.
effectively, yes.
Yeah, and the other question would be, does that create more staff?
Depending on how much you want to customize these changes, it could. Right
And-
now, the way we have it proposed, we feel that we can do this internally and still have efficient building permit review time.
And backing up, just one more question, backing up to the beginning of this, what did we change on, I think I know the answer to this, on units per school capacity? Before it was at 120%, it was at the commissioner's discretion if we had somebody come in sometimes, but now it's written in granite that 25 units per year at 100% capacity, is that what I heard or saw?
Yes, so right now, once you reach 100% of your state-rated capacity, you are considered, basically you're denied because you don't meet the requirements of the APFL. However, the provision with the alternate mitigation contribution says, okay, well, if you want to pay this money to get yourself moving, we'll allow you to do that. However, once you reach 120%, all bets are off. We actually have to get an individualized plan. So what we're proposing to do by removing that alternate mitigation contribution would be, once you reach 100% capacity, we would then allow your development to get approved. However, you would only be able to pull 25 building permits, 25 units, so 25 building permits for that development each calendar year.
Right now, excuse me, right now, if you had 100% capacity, how many building permits could you pull?
You get unlimited, whatever your subdivision plat says you were approved for.
Is any of this state mandate, or is this all us?
This is all you,
That's all the questions I have right now, so.
okay?
Okay, so we'll take some time to review this, and we'll bring it back in a couple of months for additional consideration, if that works.
And if we bring it back in a couple months, is that extended past January too? Also, it does, extends it past January.
Well, we could change that date as well. When we bring it back in a couple of months, you could set it as March 1st or July the 1st of next year. Absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds like a good course of action.
Why do we need a couple of months?
I'm sorry, question?
Why do we need a couple of months?
We need that time to be able to automate in our Acela automation. We're also going through some upgrades and some conversions. So that's why we're putting it out so far, because we have to get these conversions done, and then we have to hire somebody to come in and write the scripting to be able to do those
Okay,
changes.
But that's internal, and that's for an effective date of, say, 1 of January, correct?
If it was adopted now, that's why I said we need some lead time.
Right.
So if we wait a few months to talk about it and adopt it, we would need a few more months lead time to be able to deal with that. Because we're not sure if you're going to do the adoption of this or not. We don't want to go ahead and start the process of writing the scripting and all that kind of stuff. So whenever the adoption is, we need that lead time.
Is there any doubt amongst the other commissioners about the need for us to address this?
Well, I think for me, once it gets out even more, because I just sort of gathered a few things right now that, I think we allow for a little bit more input. I don't know if it's a couple months or a couple weeks, but.
Okay.
Well, the public comment period has ended.
Right.
For this specific case. So if you want additional public comment, we're gonna have to reopen the comment period.
I have a couple of things that I wanted to address with you before we put this forward for a formal vote. So if we could bring this back in a couple of weeks, once I talk with you about those things.
Sounds better to me.
Okay, so we'll bring it back in a couple of weeks.
That's where I'm at.
Would you like to keep the public comment record open then?
Doesn't sound like there has been much movement. we got one or two more comments within the 2 weeks that it was open. My recommendation would be to close, continue to keep this under advisement and bring it back in a couple weeks.
Okay. And I'll schedule some time to meet with you about the couple of tweaks that I wanted to talk about. All right.
That sounds good to me, too, so.
Thank you, Commissioners.
We good? Thank you. Next item under tab 4 is FOP and NCEU Collective Bargaining Memorandum of Understanding and Approval.
Good morning. I'm Eric Paultel. I am the labor attorney that represents Washington County in labor negotiations with the unions that represent its employees. And this morning, we're here to talk about two agreements that were recently reached with the unions representing employees in the sheriff's office. Specifically, the employees at issue are the corrections officers and the patrol deputies. So I want to talk about our corrections officers first. We're just completing the second collective bargaining agreement that's been negotiated with this group. They are represented by a union called the National Corrections Employees Union. Our first contract with them was negotiated last fiscal year, but this year we were able to negotiate a successor contract that covers 2 years, fiscal years 2026 and fiscal 2027. We continued most of the same terms that were in place, but perhaps most significantly, we were able to reach agreement on an adjustment in wages for fiscal year 26, which provides for a 6% market adjustment as well as a step increase. For fiscal year 27, the second year of the contract, the employees covered by the agreement would receive the same cost of living adjustment as other employees on the Washington County Commissioner pay scale, and they would receive a step increase in the event a step is given to other Washington County employees. There is an exception that to the extent the county in fiscal year 27 engages in some payroll actions to address compression in the pay scale or other adjustments, that would not be something which extends to our corrections deputies. They would only get the benefit of a cost of living adjustment. But all in all, we do believe this is a very fair compensation package. It enables the sheriff and the sheriff's office to attract and retain talent. We're very privileged in Washington County to have one of the lowest vacancy rates of any jurisdiction in the state of Maryland when it comes to corrections officers. I represent a number of counties within the state, and it's very often the case that it's very hard to fill these very difficult positions, and we're fortunate here that that's not the case, and I think it's in large part because we do succeed in paying our people fairly and competitively to attract and retain staff. In addition to the compensation adjustments for our corrections deputies, we have modified the shift differentials, so the evening shift differential increases from 3% to 5%, and the night shift differential increases from 5% to 7%. In addition to those changes, we made some modifications to add inclement weather pay. So when individuals are called in to work at a time when the county is closed and other county employees are off of work, these individuals would get premium pay for coming in under those conditions. And we also made some modifications to the holiday pay program and the way we handle holiday pay for these individuals, because again, prisons are open 7 days a week. And they operate 24 hours a day, and there are no holidays in prisons, so we made some special provisions to address compensation for holiday pay. In addition to the corrections deputies, we negotiated the first-ever collective bargaining agreement covering our patrol deputies. Those individuals are represented by the Fraternal Order of Police, or the FOP. Again, what we did was something very similar to what was done for the corrections deputies. We carried over most of the same terms and conditions of employment, many of which are already embodied in SOPs and general orders that are in place for the sheriff's office. We have a 6% market adjustment for fiscal year '26 and a 2.5% step increase. Again, the same thing that was done for corrections. And as is the case with corrections, it's a 2-year agreement, so it extends to fiscal year 2027 as well. In 2027, the individuals covered by the agreement will get the same cost of living adjustment as other county employees who are on the WCC pay scale, and they would get a step increase in the event the county does offer a step increase for its other county employees. Once again, there's an exception that to the extent the county makes adjustments in pay to decompress the pay scale, those adjustments would not extend to the patrol deputies. We made the same changes for shift differential that we made for corrections, increasing the shift diff from 3% to 5% for the evening and 5 to 7 for the night. We made some clarifications on the manner in which we handle on-call pay for our patrol deputies, and as well as clarifications for field training officers, or FTOs. Holiday pay is handled a little differently in patrol than it is in corrections, but it is addressed in the CBA. So those are the highlights of the two agreements. We are very excited and proud of the accomplishments we made. I want to commend the bargaining teams that are sitting behind me right now for their very professional attitudes, their realistic approaches to bargaining, and the cooperative relationship they have with both the county bargaining team and, most importantly, with the sheriff's office. So we are happy to answer any questions you all may have about anything that was negotiated for either of the agreements.
No questions?
All parties are in concurrence, correct?
I'd like to add on to Eric what he said. I appreciate the commissioners and the support of public safety in this county. You know, we had 18 positions down in the detention center 2 years ago. Right now we have 2 openings, and we have a waiting, we're in the process of filling those. So it's definitely helped. The patrol side, we have about 8 openings right now, but that's just a little bit longer process. So we do have people in the process to get into October Academy, and we have 5 graduating from the next academy. So we appreciate your support in this county for public safety.
Those 8 openings, they're due in large part to the additional positions approved this fiscal year. Is that correct?
That's the reason. If it wasn't for those 8 extra positions, we would be full right now and wouldn't have a hiring process. So we're in the process of hiring those 8 additionals.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have documents to sign.
We get a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and second for approval. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
5-0.
Do we need 2 motions?
Yeah, I think, so if we can correct that motion, the first one to follow Mr. Paultel's presentation, motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement with the National Correctional Employees Union Local 146.
I'll add that to my initial motion. Is that
Thank
okay?
you. Yes, thank you, Commissioner.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Ready to vote? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye, for both.
5-0.
And
Thank
the
you.
next motion would be to approve the collective bargaining agreement with the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 150.
Okay, motion, second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Very good. Thank you.
All right, and Commissioner, I have copies of each. I think last time you all stood around the presentation table up there, but I'll leave it to Katie to organize the picture.
Sit down.
Okay. Okay, we're not too far behind schedule. Okay, we ready? Derek stepped out. Okay, under tab 5, intergovernmental cooperative purchase, 25-0191, personal protective equipment, PPE, for Division of Emergency Services.
Good morning, Brandy Kentner, Director of Purchasing.
Eric Jacobs, Assistant Director, Emergency Services.
The first recommendation I have this morning is the intergovernmental cooperative purchase, INTG 25-0191. Move to authorize by resolution for the approval and the purchase of 13 sets of PPE, which is coats and pants for the Division of Emergency Services from Municipal Emergency Services out of Rockville, Maryland, at the contracted unit price totaling $53,148.55. The pricing is based on the Fairfax County, Virginia contract. Section 106.3 of the Public Laws of Washington County grants authorization for the county to procure goods and services under contracts entered into by another government entity, as long as we abide by the same terms, condition, and pricing of that contract, and we have done so in this procurement. The county will benefit with a direct cost savings in this purchase due to the economies of scale it has leveraged. This structural firefighting turnout gear will be purchased to assist the outfitting of our first responders throughout the county. This is an annual program that has been supported through the general fund yearly. Fairfax County awarded this initial contract for multiple renewal periods. These particular sets are discounted on this contract at a 30.5% discount. Funding is available in FY '25 operating budget. Small correction, it wasn't 11,525, it's 11,520 for this purchase.
Okay. Discussion? Motion?
Motion to approve.
No. I have a motion and a second. Ready to vote? All in favor by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, 5-0. Thank you. Next item under tab 6, intergovernmental cooperative purchase, 25-0192, personal protective equipment, PPE, for Division of Emergency Services.
Randy Kentner, Director of Purchasing.
Eric Jacobs, Emergency Services.
The next recommendation is the intergovernmental cooperative purchase, INTG 25-0192. There is a correction on this one moving forward. It is in the quantity and the pricing. Move to authorize by resolution for the approval to purchase 120 sets of the PPE, which is coats and pants, for the Division of Emergency Services from Maryland Fire Equipment Corporation out of Rockville, Maryland, at a contracted unit price totaling this is the other correction, $453,175.05. These prices were awarded by Arlington County, Virginia contract. Again, Section 106.3 of the Public Laws of Washington County grants authorization to the county to procure goods and services under a contract awarded by another government entity, as long as we abide by the same terms and conditions of that contract. There is a direct cost savings due to the economies of scale the contract has leveraged. Again, this structural firefighting turnout gear is being purchased to assist in the outfitting of our first responders throughout the county, and it is an annual program. This particular contract for these particular units is at a 54% discount. Funding is available in 2 separate accounts in the FY '25 budget for this department. Again, a correction. The first budget is $93,130, and the second is $11,520.
Motion, discussion?
Motion.
Motion, so we have a second? Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Ready to vote, all in favor by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you, 5-0. Next item under tab 7 is sole source procurement, PUR 1752, Firehouse Software Agreement for Division of Emergency Services.
Randy Kentner, Director of Purchasing.
David Hayes, Director of Emergency Services.
The next recommendation is a sole source procurement, PUR 1752. Move to authorize the sole source procurement software agreement for the Division of Emergency Services for AutoCAD software updates and upgrades in the amount of $108,666.86 from ESO Solutions out of Dallas, Texas. This is a maintenance agreement for the ESO software platform, which is utilized by county fire and EMS for fire incident reporting. This software is necessary to ensure that accurate and factual National Fire Incident Reporting System compliant documentation of fire, rescue, and EMS incidents can be completed. DES wishes to apply Section 1 through 106.2A, 1 and 2 of the Code of Local Public Laws of Washington County to this procurement. This section states that a sole source procurement is authorized and permissible when, 1, only one source exists, that it meets the county's requirements, and 2, the compatibility of equipment, accessories, and replacement parts are paramount to the consideration. This request does require 4 out of 5 commissioners' approval to proceed. Funding is available in the department's operating budget for this purchase.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a motion and a second for approval as submitted. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Thank you. Next item under tab 8 is bid award PUR 1740, leachate hauling from county landfill.
Randy Kettner, Director of Purchasing.
Dave Mason with Solid Waste.
The next recommendation is the bid award PUR 1740. Move to award the requirements contract for the hauling of leachate from the county landfill to AC&T Incorporated out of Hagerstown, Maryland, based on the responsible bidder with the lowest total lump sum of $438,400. The bid was advertised in the local newspaper, listed on the State of Maryland's eMaryland Marketplace website, the county's website, and the new Ion Wave bidding site for Washington County. The contract period is for a period of 1 year, tentatively commencing July 1st, 2025, with the option for the county to renew up to 2 consecutive 1-year periods, the first term ending June 30th, 2026. The county guarantees neither a minimum or maximum of calls nor quantity of material in this contract. 18 companies downloaded the document, and we did receive 1 bid. The scope of services to be provided by the contractor includes loading, hauling, delivering, and unloading of leachate at the Valacor facility located at the Department of Water Quality's Conicajig wastewater treatment plant. The leachate is transported from Rush Road Landfill, the Rubble Landfill, Old City County Landfill, and the 40 West Landfill. Included in the agenda report form, there is a history of services for this process. Funding is available in various accounts for the Department of Solid Waste.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Motion is second for approval as submitted. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. 5-0, thank you. Next item under tab 9 is bid award PUR 1742, electronics recycling.
Randy Kentner, Director of Purchasing.
Dave Mason, Solid Waste.
The next recommendation is the bid award PUR 1742. Move to award the bid for the electronic recycling for solid waste department to the responsible bidder EACR Incorporated out of Lakewood, New Jersey, who submitted the lowest bid price of 14 cents per pound for CRT flat, which is monitors and TVs, and 10 cents per pound for non-CRT material, which is e-waste, and $685 per trip for the transportation from the 40 West landfill to the recycling facility. The project scope is certified, is for the certification, recycling, and refurbishing of electronics to specified disposal facility periodically, as requested by the Deputy Director of Solid Waste or his or her designee. Materials to be recycled will include, but are not limited to, CRT screen televisions, computer monitors, laptops, flat screen TVs, etc. The county will notify and schedule delivery of the materials with the recycler. The contract period shall be for a 1-year period tentatively commencing on August 1st, 2025, with the option for the county to renew up to 2 consecutive 1-year period. The county does reserve the right to accept or reject the request for any renewals or any price increases. This bid was advertised on the State of Maryland's eMaryland Marketplace website, the county's website, the new online bidding site, and the local newspaper. 35 companies did download the document, and 12 bids were received. Funding has been approved in FY26 budget for these services.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval as submitted. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, 5-0. Thank you. Next item under tab 10, renewal slash extension, sole source procurement award, PUR 1650 for Munis software, which is utility billing support.
Randy Kentner, Director of Purchasing.
Angie Poffenberger, Budget and Finance Deputy Director of Software Support and Training.
The last recommendation I have for you this morning is the renewal extension of the sole source procurement award, PUR 1654. Move to authorize for the renewal and extension for a sole source procurement of software licensing and support fees from Tyler Technologies out of Dallas, Texas, for the use by the Office of Budget and Finance, the Treasurer's Office, and other county departments for a total amount of $237,334 for the period beginning July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. This purchase was originally approved by the Board of County Commissioners on November 28th, 2023 for a 2-year period. On here it says it's a 2-year extension. Actually, this is a 1-year extension to that contract. Budget and Finance wishes to apply sections 1 through 106(2), A, 1, and 2, the Code of Local Public Laws of Washington County to this procurement. This section states that a sole source procurement is authorized and permissible when, 1, only one source exists that meets the county's requirements, and 2, the compatibility of equipment, accessories, replacement parts is paramount to the consideration. The Tyler Enterprise ERP software and support being recommended for renewal has expanded and enhanced the county treasurer's Maryland real estate and property tax management system, which was originally implemented in 2003. Additionally, the current software components replace the county's old utility billing system. The current software system consolidated tax, utility billing, and general billing operations under one centralized cashiering and remitting system across the enterprise and provides a comprehensive citizen web portal with 24/7 access to tax, utility, general billing, and online payments. This request does require 4 out of 5 commissioners to proceed. Funding is available in the information technology software account for these services.
Motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and second for approval as submitted. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next agenda item is under tab 11, bid award PUR 1735, Section A North Retention Pond mowing for the Department of Stormwater and Watershed Services.
Good morning, Karen Baker, buyer in the purchasing department.
John Swagger, Stormwater Watershed Services.
The first recommendation we have today is bid award PUR 1735, Section A North Retention Pond mowing for the Department of Stormwater and Watershed Services. Move to award the procurement of mowing services of 57 retention ponds to the responsible bidder, Young's Lawn Service LLC of Hagerstown, Maryland, for a total lump sum bid price of $4,730 per mowing. The mowing cycle is expected to be every 3 to 4 weeks. However, quantities may be more or less based on weather. The work consists of mowing and trimming all specified pond mowing areas once every 3 to 4 weeks, and notifying the Department of Stormwater Watershed Services when each mowing cycle is to begin and is completed. The contractor is required to utilize the GIS tracking application to document each mowing, and they will also be responsible for collecting and properly disposing of all trash and debris from within the pond mowing areas. The invitation to bid was advertised on the State of Maryland's eMaryland Marketplace Advantage website, the county's website, in the local newspaper, and on the county's new electronic bidding site. 31 persons and/or companies registered or downloaded the bid document online, and on April 30th, 2025, the county accepted bids. 11 bids were received. The contract term shall be for a 2-year period beginning on July 1st, 2025, with an option by the county to renew for up to 3 additional consecutive one-year periods. And funds are available in the department's operating budget for this service.
Okay. Motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Ready to vote? All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
5-0. Thank you. Next item under tab 12 is bid award PUR 1730, digital air park sign at Hagerstown Regional Airport.
Karen Bigner, buyer in the purchasing department.
Andrew Eshelman, Director of Public Works.
The second recommendation we have is bid award PUR 1730, digital air park sign at the Hagerstown Regional Airport. Move to award the procurement of a digital air park sign to the responsive responsible bidder, Smart Signs LLC of Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, for a total lump sum bid price of $194,308.39. The Hagerstown Regional Airport sought bids for the purchase and installation of a 35-foot-high, 10-by-30-foot digital monopole 13-millimeter LED sign to be located at the end of Air Park Road and visible to northbound I-81 traffic. The work includes providing a complete digital sign system, structural work to construct the monopole sign, electrical work, communication and computer-based control system, and miscellaneous additional work to complete the installation. The invitation to bid was advertised on the State of Maryland's eMaryland Marketplace Advantage website, the county's website, in the local newspaper, and on the county's new electronic bidding site. 51 persons and/or companies registered or downloaded the bid document online, and on May 14th, 2025, the county accepted bids. 2 bids were received. Funds are available in the department's capital improvement project account BLD 088, Airport Systemic Improvement Projects. The project cost is 100% covered by a Maryland Department of Commerce Rural Maryland Economic Development Fund grant.
Motion to approve.
Motion and second for approval.
Mostly advertising for the airport services. It would be limited to on-premise advertising, so not a billboard sign per se.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval as submitted. Ready to vote? All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, 5-0. Thank you. Next item under tab 13, Ashcraft Rice Royal Legacy Program, RLP easement.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Chris.
Chris Boggs, Planning and Zoning. The first project I bring to you this morning is the Ashcraft Rice Rural Legacy Program Conservation Easement. This is a property located at 16865 Taylor's Landing Road, Sharpsburg, 256 plus acres, and it'll serve to preserve a valuable agricultural, scenic, historic, and environmental property in the county. The parcel itself contains a mixed balance of crop, pasture, and woodland, and it lies in a part of the county that, of course, was heavily trafficked during the Civil War and the Battle of Antietam. The farm complex itself is listed on the Maryland Inventory of Historic Places for its architectural and agricultural significance. It's also less than a quarter mile from C&O Canal and the Potomac River. It adds onto a block of several thousand acres of contiguous permanently preserved farmland near the battlefield and Williamsport, and 14 development rights will be extinguished with this easement. Rural Legacy Program's been in place since 1998, and since then we've been awarded over $33 million to purchase these easements through this program. It's the sister. At this point, we have over 9,400 acres in the Rural Legacy Program here in Washington County. The funds for this program are part of the fiscal year 2025 grant, which was $1.544 million, and this will use funds strictly from that for the procurement of this easement. Additionally, while the funds are 100% state dollars, We are also provided at the county level with a 3% of the easement value for administrative costs and 1.5% for compliance cost and monitoring. The State Rural Legacy Board and DNR are on board with our program here in the county. The only alternative, if we were to reject the funds for this program, you'd either use the fund, or for this project, you'd either use the funds for a different project in the county, or the funding at some point would be reallocated in the state. The recommended motion is to approve the Ashcraft Rice easement project in the amount of $1 million over 256.57 easement acres. Any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval as submitted. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, 5-0. Thank you. Next item under tab 14 is the Bond Rural Legacy Program easement.
Chris Boggs, Planning and Zoning. This property is another rural legacy easement project located at 6836 Tommytown Road in Fairplay. And this is also another agricultural, scenic, historic, and environmental property. It also has a good mix of crop, pasture land, and woodland, although it's a little smaller, 45.18 acres going into easement. The property itself also has a stone and log farm complex that from the early 19th century that is on the Maryland Inventory of Historic Places and is contiguous to the C&O Canal and the Potomac River. 5 development rights will be extinguished with this project. Everything else is more the same. It's 100% state dollars. We also receive the 3% admin costs and 1.5% compliance costs for this project. And the recommended motion would be to approve the Bond Rural Legacy easement in the amount of $176,050 over 45.18 easement acres.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second for approval as submitted. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, 5-0.
So we just put 300 some acres in preservation today.
Yeah, it's going to be about 300, yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Thank you very much.
Rolling along.
Okay, next item under tab 15 is the Police Accountability, Community, and Transparency Grant.
Good morning. Karsten Arens, Office of Grant Management.
Morning, Commissioners. Lieutenant Daniel Mon, Washington County Sheriff's Office.
We request that the board move to approve the application for and acceptance of funding as awarded for the Police Accountability, Community, and Transparency fiscal year 26 in the amount of $50,000. The Police Accountability, Community, Transparency Grant Program supports the high-impact support initiative of officer wellness. In this regard, the program will be utilized to provide focused peer support training to ensure that our deputies have the tools and support they need to effectively navigate the emotional and mental stresses associated with repeated exposure to crisis environments.
Motion to approve.
Okay, do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, 5-0. Thank you. Next item under tab 16, Department of Social Services Child Support Enforcement Grant for FY26.
Karsten Arens, Office of Grant Management.
Lieutenant Daniel Mon, Washington County Sheriff's Office, on behalf of Lieutenant Grant.
We would ask the Board of County Commissioners to move to approve the acceptance of funding awarded to the Department of Social Services Child Support Enforcement Grant fiscal year 26 in the amount of $636,806. The Department of Social Services Child Support Enforcement Grant is used to cover the cost of salaries, fringe benefits, and associated needs for the Sheriff's Office personnel assigned to child support enforcement.
Where does the funding come from for this particular grant?
This is an annual grant that has been applied for. I believe the funding is state funding.
State funding through federal through the state? Do you know? You don't know that answer?
I don't believe that the sheriff's office currently has any funding that is contingent upon federal funding. But I think it's all state funding.
Okay,
We can double check and get that information for you.
motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. All in favor by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item under tab 17 is the Maryland 911 Board approval to submit application and accept awarded funding for the priority dispatch system.
Good morning, Richard Lesh, Grant Manager, Office of Grant Management.
Alan Matheny, Director of Emergency Management and Communications.
We are here to request a motion to approve the submission of the grant application to the Emergency Number System Board in the amount of $428,286 and accept the funding to renew the contract with Priority Dispatch System. The Priority Dispatch System is a comprehensive approach to emergency dispatch built on the International Academies of Emergency Dispatch approved unified protocol systems. They provide emergency communication centers with the vital technology, tools, and training needed to gather essential information, relay timely, accurate information to field responders, and provide life-saving support within a single system. The total value of this contract is $491,286, based on an annual cost of $94,444. However, the county has been given a discount of $63,000, reducing the funding needed to $428,286. The contract includes the system license renewal, one plan maintenance package, and a comprehensive services support. With this system, the 911 Center will continue to provide Washington County residents and visitors with the efficient, reliable, and high-quality emergency dispatch service.
Motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a second, motion and a second for approval as submitted. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, 5-0. Thank you. Next item is Maryland 911 Board approval to submit application and accept awarded funding for security enhancements.
Richard Lesh, Grant Manager, Office of Grant Management.
Alan Matheny, Director of Emergency Management and Communications.
And we're here to request a motion to approve the submission of the grant application to the Emergency Number System Board in the amount of $37,244.64 and accept the funding as awarded to fund the 911 Center security enhancements. Security upgrades are needed at the 911 Center due to our current system continually experiencing failures and its inability to keep the facility secured. Upgrades are for the access, entry, and exit doors. The funds from the number system board will be used for new strike plates, bolts, as well as new card readers, along with all associated wiring and labor costs. This project is essential to ensure the continued control, monitoring, and physical security within the facility, especially as security requirements of our Emergency Communication Center continue to evolve.
So the doors are failing, Alan? Is that what's happening in and out?
Yes, sir, the system's gotten so old that we can't replace the cards. We have the cards temporary right now so we can get this approved.
Do you want us to also say to accept once approved? It doesn't, that's completely says that, but to support the submission and to accept and grant it, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. Ready to vote? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is agriculture, one of our favorite subjects in Washington County. June is National Dairy Month.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kelsey Cadle, Agricultural Business Specialist with the Department of Business and Economic Development.
Hi, I'm Katie Yoder with the Public Relations and Marketing Department. I'm the Multimedia Specialist.
We got goodies.
Every June, we celebrate National Dairy Month, a time to recognize the critical role that dairy plays in our health, economy, and daily lives. In Maryland, dairy remains one of the state's most important agricultural commodities. According to the latest figures from the Maryland Department of Agriculture, cash receipts for milk in 2023 nearly totaled $185 million, underscoring the continued strength and significance of the industry. Washington County is proud to be a major contributor to this success. We are home to 94 dairy farms whose hardworking farmers produce milk, ice cream, yogurt, cheese, and other dairy products that nourish our families and fuel our communities. National Dairy Month highlights not only the nutritional value of milk and dairy products as part of a balanced diet, but also the economic importance of dairy farming to Maryland's agricultural landscape. Washington County encourages all residents to show support of our local dairy industry, especially by enjoying one of our region's favorite dairy treats, ice cream.
Excuse me, and with that, we are thrilled to announce the launch of the 5th annual Washington County Ice Cream Trail, celebrating our community's local ice cream shops and the hardworking dairy farms that make them possible. The 2025 Ice Cream Trail features 13 locally owned and operated businesses. We are ready for this year's trail. Last year, Public Relations saw record-breaking participation with 581 individuals completing the trail, the most since the event's inception. We hope to increase the number of the completers this year to make it the largest yet. Beginning today, June 3rd, the Ice Cream Trail maps are available on all 13 participating establishments and can also be downloaded on our website. Participants are encouraged to visit each location, collect a stamp on their trail map, and return the completed map to the Washington County Public Relations and Marketing Department, either online or by mail. Those who complete the trail and submit a fully stamped map will receive an official 2025 Ice Cream Trail t-shirt. I would also like to mention that the PR team has secured business and organization sponsorships for the t-shirts this year. Our team has worked very hard to encourage the community partnership for this summer's event that the community loves. The PR team has a dedicated Ice Cream Trail Facebook page group, and from the numerous comments received, citizens are very eager to begin. Some stating that this has been their summer tradition for several years, and that is one of the great reasons why we continue this initiative. And if you could just take a moment and we will start the promo video for this year.
Scoop, there it is. The Washington County Ice Cream Trail is back. Grab your trail map and visit all 13 locally owned ice cream shops. Collect a stamp at each stop, and once your map is complete, you'll score a free Ice Cream Trail t-shirt. Beat the heat with a tasty treat and support local. Download your map at washco-md.net/ice cream trail and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Scoop, there it is. Get to stamping.
So if I could ask a question. You won't have numbers for this, but I have started this trail a few times, never completed it. And I'm sure.
I feel sorry for you.
I'm sure there are many, many, many people who start it and don't complete it. So the 581 or so people that complete it, congratulations to them, but they are a small fraction of the number of people that start it. And I would not have, found a couple of these places if not for the promotion here. So appreciate that. It is doing its job and making the public more aware of the great places we have that serve ice cream. So thank you.
I need to know for clarification, was Vice President Klein one of those 581?
I completed it probably 3 times last year.
I think he was first once or twice.
But the most important, they're all small independent business owners, and they count on this. They're the small non-corporation places hiring our high school kids that are learning skills and stuff to move forward in life, showing up for work. Welcome to the workforce, I told a young lady last night at Scoopalicious. And so it's a great job, great program.
The ice cream that you are enjoying today is from Ruth's Market, one of the new locations on the map.
Oh, really? Okay, down Williamsport.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item under tab 20 is approval of zoning map amendment RZ-25-001.
Good morning, Commissioners. Aaron Weiss, Assistant County Attorney, here to request a motion to approve zoning map amendment RZ-25-001. The applicants in this matter are Myron and Hazel Horst, and they are seeking to apply the rural business floating zone over 1.6 acres of their 10.7 acre property, which is located on the east side of Sharpsburg Pike in Sharpsburg. The address is 6821 Sharpsburg Pike. The property contains a single-family dwelling, a barn, and a newly constructed garage or office building, and it's currently zoned for preservation within the Antietam Overlay District. The applicants have stated that they wish to open a tire repair shop on their property. A public hearing was held on May the 20th before the board, after which the commissioners indicated their support for this rezoning and requested the county attorney's office to prepare the attached decision and findings of fact. And those materials should be attached to your packet, and I am here to request a motion to approve the rezoning.
Motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Ready to vote? All in favor? All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay, 4-1.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next item under tab 21 is approval of tri-party MOU for the new Downsville Elementary School facility.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rosalinda Pasquale, Deputy County Attorney. So I'm here before you today to present the tri-party MOU for the new Downsville Elementary School facility. What is before you today is the project memorandum of understanding, which is an agreement between the Board of Education for Washington County, the Maryland Stadium Authority on behalf of the state, and the Board of County Commissioners. This MOU will ensure state funding for the school construction project. It outlines the responsibilities of the three parties and the cost-sharing obligations. The county's main obligation is the provision of the local share of construction costs, which the commissioners have previously approved and allocated through the CIP. The Interagency Commission on School Construction, IAC, approved Built to Learn, BTL funds, for the construction of this new school, which is allocated by the state through the Maryland Stadium Authority. This MOU is required to be entered into by the three parties in order for Washington County to receive those BTL funds. The Board of Ed has approved the MOU on their part.
Okay. Any discussion, any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval as submitted. Ready to vote? All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, 5-0. Thank you. Next item is under tab 22, EMS staffing transition discussion, volunteer fire company of Halfway.
It's there, it's just
It's in back.
kind of in the middle of this.
Gotcha.
Morning, Commissioners. Dave Hayes, Director of Emergency Services. All right.
James Strawball, I'm the fire chief of the Volunteer Fire Company, Pathway.
Justin Gearhart, President of the Volunteer Fire Company, Pathway.
David Chisholm, Deputy Director, Emergency Services.
And President Sprecher from the Washington County Volunteer Fire and Rescue Association is trying to make his way here, but he's running just a little bit behind. But Commissioners, we're here today, and we're happy to be here today to speak to a new partnership or another partnership, this time with the Volunteer Fire Company Pathway, relative to transitioning their current EMS staffing into county employment and creating a staffing partnership for the future. We're looking for a motion to approve the EMS employee transition and subsequent MOU with the Volunteer Fire Company of Halfway, and to authorize the Division of Emergency Services to hire 12 EMT/paramedics, 3 of which is a recommendation to allow us to hire them as lieutenants. They would not be additional officers outside of the Medicare, but would assist with the supervision. And that's to provide the staffing for the volunteer fire company of Halfway ambulances. The specifics of the employee transition relative to wages and benefits for the existing Halfway EMS employees and a requirement to move billing services to the county vendor remain in line with the requirements during the EMS employee transitions for Smithsburg EMS, Williamsport Fire EMS, and Hancock Rescue Squad in 2024. During discussions with the volunteer fire company of Halfway leadership, it was agreed that transitioning the volunteer fire company's EMS staffing to county will help to establish a more sustainable EMS staffing plan for the volunteer fire company and also the citizens of Halfway and surrounding areas. Fiscal impact is estimated to be about $261,855.72. That is somewhat dependent on the timing of the actual transition. Those funds are budgeted in our FY 25 and 26 budgets. Your concurrences for myself, President Gearhart from the Volunteer Fire Company of Halfway, County Administrator Michelle Gordon, the Chief Financial Officer Kelsey Mace, and President James Sprecher from the Washington County Volunteer Fire and Rescue Association. And I'll turn it over to the Chief and President of the Fire Company for comments, and then any of the others.
We look forward to the opportunity to continue and provide a most professional service to our community. It is a struggle, volunteers, and trying to hire an independent corporation also is a struggle. So we look forward to the partnership with the Division of Emergency Services to take that over and assist us in a joint partnership to continue to provide a service to the community.
I believe that it's going to enhance the emergency services provided to the Halfway community. The Halfway community, our area covers the I-81 and 70 interchange, so.
Very important.
Thank you, President.
Well, the Halfway Volunteer Fire Company, well-established, very professional, functioning, and transition is always difficult, change. But I believe this is a good change, positive change for the citizens that they serve, and I think everybody will benefit from it, the citizens, DES, and the Halfway Fire Department. So.
I can just say for the operations section, we look forward to this partnership. The station covers a large area, as they just said, and we're looking forward to working to provide excellent service to the citizens of the county.
And just closing that out, we've already begun preliminary discussions in anticipation of today with the department on moving the staffing, transitioning their staffing schedule itself to where the division can see a little better and be able to make sure that we give them all the help they need, up until the point we're fully hired. Open for questions.
I don't have any, and we've hashed this over a couple times, and I think the word partnership means a lot. And I think we've proven we can do that. So I'm looking forward to make sure it's a seamless transition and cooperation.
And, I would like to add a comment. Thank to all of you who's involved in these negotiations, and to President Gerhardt, Chief Trumbull. I know you guys. I know you're committed to the public. I've seen you over years doing this. I admire you for joining us, us joining you in partnership to better serve those people in that area. So I salute you. Thank you very much.
I think I heard it here several times, public service, and that's what it's all about, and especially when it's for your own community. So congratulations.
And Justin and Dave and everyone, I'm glad we've gotten to this day. I think the most important thing here is that, the quality of delivery of emergency assistance to anybody who needs it in the Halfway area, but also more broadly, because we do go beyond boundaries at times, and making sure that we are, professional, resourced, delivering for our citizens who are in dire need at the time they're calling for your help, okay? So thank you for that. I look forward to, you've done a great job from everything I've heard, okay, over time, but we can always get better, do better, and achieve more. And I'm looking forward to that in halfway in partnership with, Dave Hayes and the great team there.
As I said previously, Station 26 has always performed admirably publicly, fireground and rescue incidents, and I think this is a huge step in the right direction for you. I'm hoping that other departments in the county will mimic you and will want to do the same thing and embrace both fire and EMS, which will benefit everyone. So congratulations and thank you.
I just want to close out, thank certainly the leadership and secondarily the membership of Pathway and believing in this. There were a lot of difficult questions we had to ask, but we stayed the course and we tried and did answer all of those questions to the fullest extent we could. And then the great team that I work with and then county staff as well, including Administrator Gordon, who has been along this journey. If it wasn't for all of that cooperation and commitment to a partnership and team effort, it would be very, very difficult to sit here today. The last part, I just want to make sure that we state and we make sure that that's publicly. None of this is a reflection of poor quality care on behalf of the employees, both current and past of Halfway. It's just a natural progression that the system needs as it continues to grow and call demands increase. So.
Absolutely.
President Barr, if you could call for a motion to approve the MOU then.
Okay. All right.
Motion to approve the MOU.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
5-0.
Director Hayes, do you want to, you got your copy?
Got them already marked.
I got them marked.
You want to go out there?
Yeah, we can.
Signed an awful lot of papers, did that.
Is there a time limit on that? Because I'm going to try and get that. Closer to get up on the front.
Okay. I need a motion to go into closed session for the following reasons: to discuss confidential personnel matters and to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice.
Motion to go in closed session.
Second.
Do we have a motion and a second? All in favor? Should we take